Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Palladium book number 11, the Eastern Territory. Now, in this first video, we're going to go over the overview of the Eastern Territory. What is it? What's in it? Why is it this way? Why do I think it's the Old West of Palladium fantasy? Well, we're going to find out, and we're going to find out right now. All right, here we are. We're at the table of contents. We're going to look at the Eastern Territory overview of the Domain of Man. Why is it called the Domain of Man? Well, again, we're going to find out. Calm down. We're right there.
Because it's a good place to be.
Because, demi-humans suck. Humans rule. That's how it works. Jeez, I mean, it's easy enough. All right, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read you some of it. The Eastern Territory is a vast open wilderness, also known as the Domain of Man. It gets the latter name because over the centuries, it has been a site of numerous boom times by human settlers, and also because the human settlements are the largest, most organized, and arguably the most civilized in the territory. Here's the deal. Think of the Eastern Territories like gold rush towns in the West. You find some resource and a settlement pops up around it to exploit that resource. When that resource dries up, that settlement dries up. That's why the Eastern Territory is not one of the reasons why the Eastern Territory is not permanently manned all the time, but with a whole lot of cities that have stuck around for hundreds of years, because they are mostly exploited by the powers that be, the Western Empire, the Old Kingdom, even the Wolfen sometimes do some crap, but all the other established powers will send in people to exploit a resource that's found, and then when that resource dries up, they'll pull out all their support, and that 10, 20, 30, 40-year-old town will now dry up and die. Another reason why is because monsters live here. You know why? Because it's uncivilized territory. When I say uncivilized, I mean not permanently taken by an established empire. So there's going to be more monsters here. Orcs, goblins, ogres, whatever. They're going to be here. And they cause problems to towns. They love taking towns because towns is where humans keep their stuff.
And they like stuff.
They like stuff. So they're going to try and get into your town, take your stuff. That's what they do. Also, we're going to find out a little later that the Wolfen in the wilderness to the north of the Eastern Territory, they don't like it when humans start making settlements there because it's kind of too close to our territory type thing, and they get all wolfy.
Yeah, but if a Wolfen pees on your city, he owns it.
I don't think he wants to own it.
Oh.
He just wants the humans gone.
Oh.
Get out. So there's some problems there too. But mostly it's the towns that do spring up are being oppressed, or not oppressed, but used to extinction by other permanent nations and roving monster bands. Now, there's also an unspoken rule that an established empire cannot form a large power base in the Eastern Territory. If they do, it will affect the balance of power and possibly cause a world war. So all the other nations will gather together and force you out.
Interesting.
For the common good of the entire continent.
Okay.
So that's the only reason why the Western Empire in many of its high times where it's strong, they've tried a couple of times to form permanent establishments in the Eastern Territory, and the other nations were like, no, that's not happening.
Other than the Wolfen, what other nations are there?
Well, we got there's a map around here somewhere. I forget which page it's on, but
okay. I mean, it's not that big. I just didn't think that there were a lot of empires.
There's plenty.
Okay.
This is the history of the thing. We don't need to go to charter. We don't need to get into that. That's dumb. Damn, I don't know where the map is. I'm sorry.
Fine. Okay.
I'll probably hit it at one point. But they're all the other permanent empires There's like 4 or 5, something like that. All the other permanent empires keep the Eastern territories uncivilized, keep it as undeveloped as possible for their own benefit and for the benefit of the continent. Their own benefit is they want to be able to put boomtowns in there, extract the resources they want, and then get out. So the Eastern Territory is like a lottery. You know, that all the main empires can play and win. But if any one empire gets control of enough of the Eastern Territory, well, the lottery's over. No one's winning except for that empire that has a permanent and long-lasting stronghold there. And now the whole power shift of the continent has changed. It's skewed. So the Eastern Territory is the continent's grab bag. But the people that live there are some small permanent towns and cities in the Eastern Empire, but they fend for themselves. They are their own law. They are their own country. They are kept small. You could have a town 10 miles away from another town. They'll have a completely different set of laws. Now, there over the last couple of hundred years, there has been a commerce contract with many of the towns in the area, especially if they're on the coast of one of the inland sea or the peninsula, whatever. They're on water, so commerce is bigger with them.
Could that commerce contract turn into, say, like a little commonwealth?
No, because the rest of the empires won't allow it to happen. The towns in the Eastern Territory know that if they band together too closely, the hammer will come down. Because none of the empires want even a new power, like a power born out of the Eastern Territory, to have control of the Eastern Territory. Because, like I said, they want it for their lottery winnings. They want to be able to exploit it and get out. Well, if they have a standing army and a large enough, coalition of cities that can be called a nation, well, there's no exploiting them now. They have leverage, they have bargaining power, they have all this stuff that makes it less profitable for the established empires, and the established empires don't want that at all. So leave them fighting amongst themselves, make sure they don't band together, and everything will handle itself. The monsters will do the rest. Making sure it stays as lawless as possible down there or over there. That's basically what the Eastern Empire is. For adventurers, it is great. You can make riches, you can make your name, you could do all this stuff in the Eastern. It's a Wild West, man. You can do what you want. There is no nation that's going to poo-poo on you. You can make a whole lot of money. You can make yourself a heroic name that will span the continent.
But no domain play.
Or you could die in a hole and no one will remember your name. All of these things can happen. But the Eastern Empire is a really great way for the PCs to get rich quick. And of course, at the end of that sentence is, or die trying. Yeah, that's how it works. So we're going to look a little bit into the history. We're going to start with the brief history. It's 100,000 years. I wouldn't call this brief, Kevin. 100,000 years ago, the Age of Chaos ends and the old ones are placed in an enchanted slumber. Now, the old ones are the original alien intelligences. They have millions of hit points. Well, actually, that was first edition. If you go to second edition, they'll have hundreds of thousands of hit points and millions of SDC. They have all magic. They have hundreds of thousands of PPE each. They are the actual gods of the universe. But they were all dicks. All of them. They would kill you just to watch you suffer. As a matter of fact, it's theorized that many of them just, didn't just want to watch suffer, they fed off of your suffering. It's theorized that they actually invented magics and psionics and all this stuff. And all the other races of the Palladium world were created by them just to suffer for them. Until all the other races got together and decided, no, a-holes, you got to go. couldn't kill them, but encased them in the world under dozens of layers of magical wards and made them sleep forever. Awesome. But in the Eastern Territory, there, and I'm going to get in that into in segment 3, where that's getting to be a little dangerous. That is not a good thing. Now, in this segment, there is one race I want to highlight because everything else is just normal tribes and tribulations of humans, elves, dwarves, whatever. No, this one is the Danzi. These guys right here, the Danzi. Now, in the Age of Chaos, they were counted in the millions, and they were highly magical race, more magical than fairies, inherent magic. They were powerful. So they were a vanguard against the old ones. Now, the problem is they trusted the wrong god. I think it was Set. Yeah, it was Set.
Huh.
Who was supposed to bring his troops to augment the Danzi strike force against a certain old one. Only Set decided, no, he's not going to risk his troops until the old one's almost dead anyway. This cost the lives of all but 200,000 of the Danzi. Millions down to 200,000. And then Set showed up. And then this old one cursed the Danzi with its not dying breath, but slumbering breath before it went into torpor to strip the entire race of their inherent magical power. Now they're just a shadow of what they were. They have some innate magical ability left. We're going to get into that in segment 2 in OCCs and RCCs, but nothing like they had before. So they got beef. They don't trust gods. They don't trust supernatural creatures. Witches, they have the same view I have on witches. If you hitched your wagon to a supernatural being, god, alien intelligence, whatever, you need to get the hell out of here. You're too stupid to be around me. And I agree. I say that to every witch I meet. You're too stupid to be around me. You got to go. So that's what happened back then. And then it skips to 8,700 years ago. That's a large skip. Well, nothing really happened back then. Everyone was recovering from the Age of Chaos. Everyone was still recovering until the Elf Dwarf War happened about 10,000 years ago. And then at 8,700 years ago, it spilled over into the Eastern Territory. And that's when people found out, hey, the Danzi still exist. We thought you were a myth. We thought you died off, thousands and thousands of years ago. No, man, we just want to be left alone because we got screwed so bad. We don't like people anymore. That's all it is. That was it. Okay. And then the elves and dwarves arrive on the shores of Inland Sea. They retreat from the declining New Kingdom. Others migrate down to the Old Kingdom River and arrive in blah, blah, blah. Elves and dwarves doing elves and dwarves things. No one cares. All right. They're not human. They don't matter. And then some people tried about 1,000 years ago to make permanent places in the Eastern Territory and try to make like magnificent cities and stuff like that. Obviously, that did not work out because the orcs and the ogres and the giants and the wolfen and everybody they're like, no, this is our stuff. We're not going to let you do that. So the orcs, for about a couple hundred years, the orc horde, the Blood Eye horde, right here, was a big problem and stopped all civilization progress in the Eastern Territory until they were finally killed by Sir Aaron Pennington. And Sir Aaron Pennington made the first permanent kingdom that mattered in the Eastern Territory. And that has gone on to this day, but it has fluctuated. You can't call it an actual empire. It is a kingdom. It's like a main city and several towns around it, but it is nowhere near an empire. It's not a threat to any of the other established empires, so they let them be, basically. And then the Wolfen decide, hey, we want some of this Eastern Territory stuff too. The Wolfen come down. They are considered monster races, so they are hunted and pushed back into their forests like the dogs they are. And of course, I am truncating this because, This is a lot. This is not a brief history. This is a lot of history. Let's see. And that is today. Hostilities in the disputed lands, which is the upper half of the Eastern Territory, are called the disputed lands. It's only really disputed by the Wolfen. The Wolfen say it's too close to our forest, it's ours, and everyone else is like, no, get back in your woods. Basically it. The silver coin coilas, they're just coyote people.
Coils.
And other clans continue to attack settlements and travelers in disputed lands, and the Dominion blames the Wolfen Empire because the coyote people are subservient to Wolfen. So
no, Wolfen don't like the coils.
Well, they in this history, the coils or coilas or whatever you want, however you want to pronounce
the coils.
It. Okay, coils. Fought for the Wolfen several times.
Yeah, well, I mean, they share that similar kind of species thing, but the Wolfen don't trust or respect because the coils are basically Loki. They're just chaos.
No, I get it, I get it. But to the outside observer, like everybody else, they're just minions of the Wolfen, and so the Wolfen are going to take the blame for this. Yeah. To make matters worse, pressure from the rejuvenated Western Empire has pushed the seemingly limitless tribes of orcs, ogres, and goblins along their borders and in the Old Kingdom east. Raids and conflicts all along the Old Kingdom River has steadily dramatically risen. Dominion scouts report that orcish strongholds cleared 3 decades ago have been reoccupied and are more heavily populated and aggressive than ever before. So, monster races, orcs, ogres, and goblins are now being riled up by the Western Empire doing its Western Empire thing, and now attempting again to move into the Eastern Territory and permanently claim some lands. And this is pushing the monster tribes more and more into the Eastern Territory proper, causing more and more mayhem. So that's basically where we are now. It is rife with a whole lot of possible adventures. Any game master will be able to get 2-3 campaigns out of this easy. And any of the PC groups can work for any of the empires in many different capacities and have their forays into the Eastern Territory well funded. That'd be great. Awesome times. So to bring it all back home, the Eastern Territory is like the American Wild West. In between towns, it is a completely lawless land. Each town will have laws unto itself. There's no such thing as an empire there. There are kingdoms, but they are very small. 3, 4, maybe even 5 cities tops. Not much of a kingdom, more like a city-state, I would call it. But there you go. So that's what you have to deal with in the Eastern Territories. All right, do we have anything in chat?
Nope. Nothing. Right. That was I need to start about what you were saying, so.
Okay, then that is it. Next, we are going to go over some new OCCs and RCCs that are introduced in this book. Some of them are important. The Danzi going to be important because they are on the cusp of being eliminated as a species. That's that is an adventure in itself for any PC group. Not an adventure. I'm sorry. That is a campaign in itself for any PC group. So, if you're a DM who thinks, hey, maybe I want to do that. Hey, segment 2 is for you. And then, of course, segment 3. What did I say segment 3 was going to be? I completely forget.
The Glade.
Right. There's a whole bunch of permanent towns in the Eastern Territory that have some history. I chose one called the Glade because it has a Millennium Tree. And I wanted to see how the Rift style Millennium Tree and the Palladium Fantasy style Millennium Tree compare and contrast to each other. I spoke a month or two ago about a Rift's Millennium Tree that gives out armor and magic items by dropping twigs and leaves and bark and all that stuff. Well, what does the Palladium Fantasy, a lower magic world Millennium Tree, what does it do? What can it do? Well, we're going to find out in segment 3.
It drops juicers and crazies and glitter boy. Oh,
oh my.
Oh my, there you go. Please like, subscribe, and share. And I look forward to seeing everybody in the next video.